Good afternoon. I trust you're doing well. This is going to be a longer video. I saw Brother Daniels from Blow the Shofar. I saw one of his videos a couple of weeks ago, and I've since become a subscriber because he's a fellow full mooner. But I saw his latest video in which he discussed Ezekiel 24, Jeremiah 52, verse 4, and 2 Kings 25. And this actually lit up a light bulb in my head, and I realized something, and I just want to thank him for that. So what I want to discuss in this video is Esther's story on the Revelation 12 sign timeline, Jesus' story on the Revelation 12 sign timeline, Haman's story on the Revelation 12 sign timeline, Paul's shipwreck, the 2-year-long Third World War, the timeline, and the conclusion. Now, initially, I didn't want to make a long video, but you know how it is. I started the morning, and it was just going to be, I was just looking into the information I received from Brother Daniel. And then one thing led to another thing, and I started the morning, and before I knew it, the sun was coming up again. So this is a longer video, but you guys have to bear with me. My mind was blown probably about four separate times in this video. Okay, so this is the information that I received from Daniel's channel, Blow the Shofar, and you should definitely head over there and go and subscribe. Not only because he also believes in the full moon calendar, but he's definitely one of the wiser men of YouTube. And it's basically just, you see the 3 verses there, and each one of them says 9th year, 10th month, 10th day, repeated. And it's basically the 10th month, which is Tefet, which lands on 12-13 January. But one thing that piqued my interest was the word rain over here and the word rain over here. And because, I made a connection in my mind. And the connection that I made was to the Revelation 12 sign, because I was busy at that time with the Revelation 12 sign and Esther's timeline. And basically it's Revelation 12 verse 5, where it says, she brought forth a man-child who was to rule all nations with a rod of iron. Now the word rule here and the word reign here, I thought that's very, very similar. And let me go and have a look and see if there's a connection. And what I found was the first time that my mind was blown. And here we have the Revelation 12 sign. Now, first I need to explain modern numbering. You can see that we all count like this. We all begin with a 0 and a 1 and a 2. In terms of years, it's 0 in the first year, and then we reach 1. But in biblical times, they did not have the number 0. Number 0 is a fairly recent mathematical construct. So they would have begun every count on a year 1, and then first year, year 2, second year. So that part corresponds. Now I've just got the year numbers here, and then here you can just see the year began in April 2017. This is now, of course, the moon calendar, and it would run, 2017 would run to April 2018. So in between 2017 and 2018 is where the physical Revelation 12 sign occurred on the 23rd, 24th of September 2017. And if you count the years, you can see that although we are in 2026 currently, we are in this period still, because the year began April 25 and it only ends in April 2026. So we're still in the 9th year. So this is where we currently are. Okay, so Revelation 12:5 we've read. So she brought forth a man-child who was to rule all nations with a rod of iron. And now we're coming to the information that I received from Brother Daniel. And you can see in the 9th year, now that is where we are, in the 10th month, the 10th day of the month. So we are in the 9th year, and we are just before basically the end of the year, the 10th month, which would be January. So all these, the time frames that Daniel provided, points to this time frame over here. Now we cannot change this, not if you are looking at the Revelation 12 sign, because that is a physical marker. If we were to say, okay, but that happened over here, and then maybe it was year 1, then that would have been in 2024, which is already past. So we cannot move it. We are definitely in the season. I'm sure you understand when I say that we cannot move this that way. Okay, we're now getting to the more complicated part of the explanation. So here we still have Esther's timeline and year 9. But this is now Esther's timeline in the Revelation 12 side applied to Jesus and King Ahasuerus. So you've got year 1, year 2, year 3 the same, the third year. But in the third year over here, you can see I have that a new count begins. And in the third year is where Jesus leaves the timeline. And we read from Esther 1 verse 3. In the third year of his reign, that's Jesus, he made a feast. Now, feast is translated from the root word Mr. in Hebrew, and it means to drink of the cup of God's wrath. Unto all his princes, that's his disciples, and his servants, that would be the followers, believers, the power of Persia, Media, nobles, that's just the rulers of the world. So Jesus leaves the timeline at this point because Jesus was only on earth for 3 years. He can't remain any longer. So, okay, because he leaves the timeline at this point, Jesus leaves the timeline. He comes to a point of relevance for us, which is 3i Atlas, a sign in the heavens. And in his third year, it is Shemini Atzeret, the last day of the feast, the 8th day, on which he said, if any man is thirsty, let him come to me and drink. And we get a 187 day count from the book of Esther, chapter 1 and 2, where it's 180 days plus 7 days. So counting that from Shemini Atzeret, or 3i Atlas, brings us to the 3rd of January, which is the first of Tefet. And the Bible says that Esther was given unto the king in the 10th month, which is Tefet. But it's also Nisan 1 over here. So Nisan 1, in this case, represents Tefet 1. And then we have 14, 15 days, depending on Nisan 14, 15. And you get to the 17th of January or the 16th of January. Now, the first 2 chapters are basically about Esther. And at the end of chapter 2, she's given unto the king in the 7th year, in Tefet, of course. So that's basically this timeline, and this is why Jesus leaves that timeline, because he was only present for 3 years, and why that timeline resets. So I hope I've explained this succinctly. Okay, so Jesus left here, and he went to our timeline. So this is why this timeline resets. And you can see in the 7th year, and that only ends in April 2026, that is when Esther is given unto the king. And from here onwards, we're basically speaking about Haman in the Revelation 12 sign. So basically, we read from Esther 3 verse 7. In the first month, that is the month Nisan, in the 12th year of King Ahasuerus, they cast Pur, that is the lot, before Haman from day to day and from month to month, to the 12th month, that is the month of Adar. Okay, so basically they were casting lots, and that's black magic, it's satanic, to see when would be the best day to attack and wipe out the Jews. Now, some translations make it sound as if they cast one lot every single day for a year, which would really be silly, because then, say you cast a lot on the 23rd of March, and that's the day. How can you organize an attack on the same day? So what they did is they got together with Haman in the beginning of the month, Nisan, and they cast a lot for every single day in the coming year to see when their satanic gods would be in their favor and they would be successful in slaughtering all the Jews. So they basically began one Nisan in the year 2029, and you can see it over there. It is the 12th year of his rule. And this is 30 March 2029. And eventually, in a later verse, decided that the best day would be the 13th of Adar, 11 months later. So please don't, the translators did the best that they could also with their understanding. But you need the Spirit to guide you. And they can't have cast every day a lot for the whole year to determine when they were going to attack, because that would be on the same day as they wanted to make the attack. So basically they were doing what our military guys would be doing today, is to see when was winter, summer, and when do we attack. Basically that's what they were doing, but of course fully satanic. Okay, you'll recall from a couple of verses back that they got together in Nisan, which is the first month, and they cast lots to determine when was going to be the best day to kill all the Jews, and they determined that it was going to be 13 Adar. So on the 13th day that same month, first month, there was written according to all that Haman had commanded unto the king's lieutenants and to the governors. And basically, it is just the authorization to kill all the Jews went out, and also the day now, which was going to be the 13th of Adar. But what is interesting is the 13th day of Nisan in 2029, and we've already seen now that on the Revelation 12 timeline, 2029 is the relevant year. It's the 13th of April 2029, and this is when Apophis hit the earth. This is also the beginning of the 1 year, 1 month, and 1 day period of preparation of the 4 angels in Revelation to kill 1/3 of the earth. This is also the day when Israel turns 81 years old. Now, in the story of Esther, she was present to prevent the slaughter of the Jews. This time, she will not be present, and the fact that Apophis hits the earth on the 13th of April is sort of a sign that there is going to be no escape this time, because Esther is obviously the bride of Christ, and she will not be on earth, so the restrainer will have been removed. Okay, this then would be 13th of April in the year 2029, and that's the day that they, on a separate timeline, determined that would be the best day to kill all the Jews. This is 13 April 2029, as I said, and that's when Apophis hits the earth, and it's also the same time on which the preparation of the 4 angels begin, 1 year, 1 month, 1 day. There's supposed to be 5 months in there, and that's the day that Israel turns 81 years old. So you can see the parallels between the two stories. But on this timeline, Esther's timeline, Esther was present to prevent the killing of the Jews, and that's why it didn't continue over here. And this time, Apophis hits as a sign that there will be no prevention this time, and 1/3 of mankind will be killed. And it is all people, of course, that remain after the tribulation broke out. So the previous verse we read was Esther 3 verse 12. So I have to read Esther 3 verse 13 to you, although this is just going to be basically a recap of everything I said so far. And the letters were sent by post unto all the king's provinces to destroy and kill and to cause to perish all Jews, both young and old, little children, women, in 1 day. And this is the 13th day of the 12th month. They determined that it was going to be Adar. So basically, as I've said, they cast lots to determine the best day to kill all the Jews. They decided on the 13th of Adar, about 11 months later. I spent a lot of time trying to reconcile the 11 months with the 4 angels, 1 year, 1 month, and 1 day. And then I realized that the specific day I'm trying to reconcile never happened because Esther prevented it. She was present. And then I felt silly for wasting my time. But the 13th of Adar in the year 2029 is the 1st of April in the year 2029. And something important might still happen on that day. Something evil, of course, but important. And now I'm quickly going to move on to Paul's shipwreck before returning to Haman, because I want to tie everything together. So this is basically the second time my mind was blown a little bit. But yeah, the mind-blown story continued for me. Before I move on to Paul's shipwreck, I just want to show you that I made another version of this slide in which I used the Revelation 12 sign itself, which is of course the Feast of Trumpets as well, which is the second New Year. So I've just used 23, 24 September. That would of course vary throughout the years, also similar to Nisan, where it's sometimes in March or April. But I've just used 23, 24 September there, and everything stays the same. It is in the year number 3, Feast of Trumpets, and then on Shemini Atzeret is already in the 3rd year, and Jesus moves over to our timeline, and account resets. And then over here, where Esther is, in the 7th year, that would be in January 2026, which falls on the same place, and everything stays the same otherwise. I just thought this is also a nice version, and maybe a better version. So I remember from the previous video I did Paul's shipwreck. I did 2 separate timelines for Paul, and you can't really do that. It is one timeline, but it was just basically an indication to show my uncertainty, because I really struggled. And I just want to point out something to you on the word day. Any part of a day is counted as a whole day, and this is something that I really struggle with. I know that you have to start counting at 1. But whenever I do calculations and some days go past, I find myself instinctively using a 0 count, and you can never do that. And I wasn't happy with either of Paul's timelines because instinctively I could feel, and this is, remember in the previous video I said that my discernment was telling me not to send it out. Now, it wasn't because it was some top secret information, nothing of the sort. It was just basically my spirit telling me that it's not correct. But fortunately, and thank you, Brother Daniel, for providing some cheat codes for me, because I knew at that point that I wasn't going to be able to solve Paul's timeline correctly. And now I have been able to. And it actually ties in with the whole story in a very, very beautiful way. Okay, so I'm going to move through this quickly, but I have to quickly explain to you that it's an inclusive count always, apart from when it specifically says after this, then you know it's 2 days. So basically we have here, they put your C on the first day and the next day. So we know for a fact that's 2 days. But now, then counting from the 2 days onwards, now when the 14th night. So that would be the second day there again would be your first day to count. That's 15 days. So we know that it's always inclusive, apart from where it says after. So we have 15 days and they get there for 3 days. But it's an inclusive count. So of course that would be day 1. That's 17 days. But here it says after 3 months. Okay, and we state 3 days. So note the after, it indicates that the count is inclusive. But previously I counted the 3 months as well. But they spent the 3 months shipwrecked in Malta. They didn't go anywhere. So you can't count that. That was just time on land. So basically we have 17 days plus the 3 days, which is now after exclusive. So that's 20 days. And here we just have after 1 day and the next day. So that's 20 days plus 2 days exclusive. It's after and the next 22 days. And then we were invited to stay with him 7 days. There's no after here. So it's 22 plus 7 days inclusive, 28 days. Okay, and then it says it came to pass after 3 days. That would be exclusive again. So it's 28 days plus 3 days, 31 days. So this time I just worked out the day counts. And I figured that is probably the way how it is. So the question now remains is where to begin the count. The last point we were at, as for the Exodus journey on the timeline, is when Moses came down the mountain the second time on the Day of Atonement. I don't know if you guys recall that in a previous video, it wasn't the last one, probably the one before, I had the Exodus timeline there, and I said, okay, now we are at the Day of Atonement on the 13th of December, and that's when Moses came down the mountain, and 21 days later would bring you to 3 January. But this is the last point we had Moses on the Exodus journey. Okay, the 13th of December. So then I thought, okay, well, let me take the 13th of December because that's when the Exodus journey stopped. And I added 31 days to that, and I got to the 12th of January 2025, which was a cheat code Brother Daniel provided for me because now I know for a fact it's correct. Because before I would work out a timeline and get to this date and that date, and I didn't know which one was correct. And I don't like having multiple options, so I'm very thankful for having received this guidance to know for a fact which timeline to use. But then, of course, this is a huge potential for a war to break out on the 12th or 13th of January 2026. So again, thank you very much, Brother Daniel. But the journey is not finished. It continues. And my mind was blown some more. Note that this is after the tribulation has begun. So we read from Acts 28, verse 23. And when they had appointed him a day, there came many to him in his lodging, to whom he expounded and testified the kingdom of God. So this to me would indicate or signify the testimony of the 2 witnesses, whether it's 2 people or a group of people, but it's the tribulation saints, persuading them concerning Jesus. You see, the 2 witnesses testify for the word of God and Jesus, both out of the law of Moses. It's also interesting to me that Moses is mentioned here, and out of the prophets from morning till evening. So it is interesting that Paul should mention Moses, considering that on the Exodus timeline, he just took over from Moses. But the story is not finished, and this blew my mind. So in Acts 28, verse 30, we read, And Paul dwelt 2 whole years in his own hired house, and received all that came in unto him. So Paul's journey continues for another 2 years, and this is now 2 years into the tribulation. Does this mean a 2-year-long Third World War? And I think that Paul's 2 years is indeed referring to a 2-year-long Third World War. And we will be reading from Jeremiah 52 and 2 Kings 25. And both of these verses, of course, they specifically say the ninth year, which we've already identified as ending in April 2026, and the 10th month, the fate, and the 10th day, the 12th and 13th of January. Now, everybody thinks a nuclear war would be over very quickly, but there will be plenty of survivors, both military and civilian. And of course, there will be invasions and famines, and everything is exactly described about the Great Tribulation in the book of Revelation. And the next part just blew my mind again. So this is the verse that we've now seen, which is 2029, 12:13, January. But look at verse 2. It says, and the city was besieged unto the 11th year of King Zedekiah. So it's a 2-year-long war from the 9th year to the 11th year. And this is there. I mean, and it ties in perfectly with Paul's 2 years. And this means, like I've said before, nuclear war followed by invasion, captivity. But you know, the Bible says something about two witnesses. So this is the verse that we've seen, and it's 52, verse 4. But look what it says in verse 1. Zedekiah was 21 years old when he began to reign, and he reigned 11 years in Jerusalem. So the war broke out in the 9th year of his reign, but he ruled 2 more years. That's 2 years of war. Again, agreeing with Paul. So it seems as if there's a major possibility of a world war breaking out on the 12th or the 13th of January 2026. A world war that will rage for 2 years. Paul's shipwreck timeline points to it. Also the books of Ezekiel and 2 Kings point to it. I have no idea whether the 2 years are normal years, in which case the war ends on the 12th of January 2028, or 2 prophetic years of 360 days each, in which case the war will end on the 1st of January 2028. If I have to guess, it's probably the first. But take note, my guesses are normally wrong, so maybe you should just look at the 12th. But I just want to say, if you're not a Christian, I urge you to accept Jesus as God. Whether this is correct or not is irrelevant. I now understand the dream I had, where Jesus told me that we have to do it together. We have to work together because God doesn't give all the answers to one person. And how I've explained this to a friend of mine. So God gives each one of us tasks to do, and then He measures your faithfulness in doing those tasks. For example, He could have given me the task to work out this timeline. Whether it is 100% correct or not is irrelevant. It is my faithfulness in doing as He requested. I mean, He gives all of us tasks, but imagine if He gave all the answers to everyone, then there wouldn't be any tasks left. So He might give you something specific, but He's got a result in mind, and if you get to that result, you've passed in His eyes. But all I can say is that we are most certainly in the end time season. And if you cannot see this, I pray that your eyes be opened. Time is running out, and you must accept Jesus before it is too late. Okay, I'm quickly just going to look at the timeline with you guys. So we have 2 dates of significance over here. We have the 12th and 13th of January and the 16th, 17th of January. Now, I can't say that anything is going to happen on these dates. Something might happen, maybe not. I do know that the world is currently balanced on a knife edge, and Russia's oil tankers are being seized, and that is making them desperate. You know what they say about cornered rats, so there could be maybe an Oreshnik missile in Ukraine with a nuclear warhead on the 12th, and that could escalate into full-blown nuclear war. I don't know. I must just add that for me the Exodus journey has been an amazing process. And if I look at all the lines drawn, and I think back to the days where I did that and what I went through, and the thoughts and feelings and emotions and everything I experienced, I'm very thankful for this process indeed. Every line has got a story to it, both on the timeline and, like I say, whether that's of significance to you or not. To me, it is. And I must just say that I absolutely love God 100%. I hate this world. You have no idea. The truth of this world is that it is in a fallen state. It's a terrible place, and it's about to get a whole lot worse. So please, if you're not saved, get saved today. Listen, guys, this is it from me. I'm sorry it's such a long video, but I think there is some information of interest, and that gives you, thoughts or reason for thinking about the Bible and Jesus. And in that case, my objective was achieved. So thank you very much. God bless you, and goodbye.